Yuji and Sukuna'S fight pursues in an extreme slugfest with both of them bashing each other non-stop. But for the first time in forever, Sukuna is fighting with pure rage, deviating from his nature, which is a mistake that Toji did that led to his death. He even acknowledges the surprise over his fury due to being looked down upon. Think about it. For 1,000 years, Sukuna has been the pinnacle of Jujutsu. Even Gojo and Kashimo, being the strongest of their time, had to give him respect. Both of them saw Sukuna as the strongest, and being confident in beating him was primarily to engage in a dance to feel human again. To fight Sukuna is to risk death, and pushing him to fight seriously is to gain his respect. However, Yuji is out here, he's straight up offering him mercy, as though he is the very insect he looks down upon. That means there couldn't be any greater insult to someone like the king. So to make Yuji pay for his contemptuous pity, he will take it out on others. Given the fact he lived inside of him, Sukuna understands Yuji well and knows the best way to break him is through psychological warfare. But Yuji isn't the same boy Sukuna was once in. He has evolved past being just a cog, and with the main expansion activated, Yuji has the upper hand. Yuji Itadori is the only sorcerer who can truly dethrone the king and rivals the potential of Sukuna himself. The first glimpse of his true power unleashing its wrath was in chapter 214, which triggered the thought in Urame that they felt something deeply reminiscent of the strongest. In his arsenal are several abilities that can make him the most powerful person in history. The first being left, right, good night, as he's blessed by the spark of black. Therefore, can activate Black Flash almost at will, restoring curse technique output, positive energy for reverse curse technique, and even more potential. Second is inheriting Sukuna'S curse technique and genetics, which grant talent beyond measure. Third is upgrading his punches and shrine to hurt the soul directly, being able to cut its existence. Fourth is gaining blood manipulation that also makes using reverse curse technique even easier. Fifth is having a special body thanks to Kinjaku creating him. And lastly, simple domain and a future expansion to counter any barrier someone throws at him. All this leads to us breaking down each moment Yuji's potential unlocked. We know Yuji took down Mahito, but that was with the help of Todo, right? So the best way to find out just how strong is Yuji is to pit him against the most powerful spirits in Jujutsu Kaisen, the Disaster Curses. So let's start with his arch nemesis, Mahito. In the early days, Yuji was stated to have the power to beat all the students combined in a battle without curse energy. And later, this was confirmed by Todo, claiming Yuji was physically stronger than him. That's why even Higuruma complimented him in their battle when Yuji was fighting with zero curse energy even though he was a grade 1. Todo taught Yuji how to perform Black Flash and realized that one's body, mind and soul sharpens every sense. All three parts of one's existence are completely in sync. This made Gojo state in chapter 52 that Yuji's gotten way stronger and should be okay against the special grade Hanami. However, during the Shibuya incident, the compliments don't stop, as Meme stated that Yuji's growth without a technique was nothing to scoff at. All this accumulated to his victory against awakened Mahito. But now I will prove he doesn't need Todo's help or anything else to defeat them all on his own. Because after the Shibuya incident, despite still not having recovered, Choso claims he's impressed by Yuji's power and his control of curse energy with unreal physical strength, referring to him as a demon god. The growth is linked to Yuji unlocking a massive portion of his potential in his fight against Mahito, in which he executed 4 consecutive Black Flashes. This is quite a huge feat, considering that in volume 15 extra, Gege explains that Mahito's true form is 200% stronger than his normal state. Despite this, Yuji still manages to defeat him with just a single punch. Later on, we find Sukuna claiming his twin soul was in Jin Itadori that helped create Yuji, but it's his ideals that strengthen his unbreakable powerful soul. Mahito considered Yuji his ultimate enemy and a reflection of himself, trying to destroy his willpower but never ever succeeded. In fact, Yuji only had 10% of soul strength left, yet still came out victorious. Hence, Yuji is arguably the only sorcerer other than Mahito and Sukuna who is aware of the contours of a soul and can even land direct hits on it, which skyrockets his abilities. In the fight with Sukuna, Yuji has already landed 8 Black Flash punches, breaking all the records held by Gojo and Nanami. They were aimed at the boundaries of Sukuna and Megami's, causing even his shrine to malfunction and reduce curse energy output, trampling on the king's RCT even though he created a new circuit in his brain to use it. These punches are so effective that despite Sukuna entering the zone and performing 4 Black Flashes, he couldn't heal himself from their impact. As claimed by Choso, Yuji is one of the reasons why the sorcerers still have a chance at victory against the king, because each soul punch tramples on his desire to recover back to health. This is important because Mahito, who understands souls better than anyone, stated that it's impossible to protect them unless you recognize your own. However, we know Yuji specializes in this field, having Yuki's research on top that bolstered his knowledge even further. This means that if they fought again without Sukuna being inside Yuji to stop Mahito from touching his soul, it would simply not be possible, as Yuji can protect the shape. But I've only just started, as Yuji's power level keeps increasing. Another ability that is even more effective than soul punches is his new dismantle and cleave. That would make it pretty much overkill. Yuji's output of it will eventually match Sukuna, which is pretty overpowered since Yuta admitted that they would have been annihilated instantly against the king if Gojo didn't take away his domain. And on top of that, they have to constantly use reverse curse technique without a second's notice to keep up with the slashes. But Yuji's version of Shrine is more powerful than Sukuna in a different way. He's made it possible to cut off the soul's existence via a binding vow. This resulted in Sukuna vomiting his own fingers, so it can easily be concluded that Yuji would destroy awakened Mahito with ease. But you're probably thinking, wait, what about speed, domain, or even strength? How would Yuji counter Idol Transfiguration, which is a one-shot kill just like Unlimited Void? Well, I'm going to use the other disaster curses to increase Yuji's power level even further by explaining everything else in his arsenal. Moving us on to Hanami. Even though Hanami could communicate and think freely, which placed it above other special grades like Finger Bearers, the only thing that could bother Yuji one-on-one is its durability. Gege confirmed that it's higher than even Jogo's. In their initial fight, Yuji's Black Flash wasn't enough to get past Hanami's defense, considering that it's proven to be pretty strong as she tanked Gojo's Hollow Purple. Like, even Jogo ended up only as a head, yet still survived since cursed spirits work differently from humans and use reverse curse technique easier according to Sukuna. However, when we compare Yuji's strength and defense from then to now, it's no competition. For example, once the Culling game began, he managed to destroy Amai, who had a jet engine. She slammed him into multiple buildings, but this did no damage, despite Amai stating that attack would have made most people mince meat. Moreover, as Gojo exposed in the Shibuya incident, Hanami's horns are its biggest weakness, and all he needed was to jump the cursed spirit and rip them apart to kill it. From Yuji's incredible physical strength to execute superhuman moves like jumping from one building to another with such force that the building beneath him was destroyed, we now know he has the strength required to do so. And when it comes to speed, Yuji was able to keep up with Maki going 3 times the speed of sound at Mark 3, which places them leagues ahead of any of the disaster curses. Even before the 1 month time skip that was a multiple power increase boost, Yuji tanked a full power punch to his stomach and survived another massive crash into buildings. Except this time, it was Sukuna who attacked him, so the feat is even more impressive. This means Hanami's attacks using branches would not be enough to hold back Yuji, as he managed to tank Sukuna's slashes at point blank range. Thus, with such a huge force and immense speed, he can decimate Hanami with ease, because despite its defense being better than other curses such as Jogo, it simply doesn't even come close to Sukuna. For example, when the disaster curses use domain amplification to neutralize Gojo's limitless, Gojo admits that all he had to do was reinforce it even further beyond their standard. Even Hanami, a special grade, was squished by the mere pressure of limitless, which means it would not be effective against Yuji, whose power level would be too high. Now let's say you argue a scenario that it does work. Well, his punches and speed would be too fast, because even Jogo admitted that Gojo can kill them all alone with just his physical punches. Now if we compare that to Yuji, who is physically stronger, has soul punches, bruh, it's GG. Now to enjoy more peak fiction, why not find out about Rimuru wife, as it's Ciel. Who is this person? He married the person that he created himself?